This video is brought to you by Simply Wall Street. If you've been following the financial media over the past month or so, you've probably come across the term SaaSpocalypse. And while it's not the strongest portmanteau I've ever heard, yes, gents, I did learn a new word this week, but the event the portmanteau represents is still very real. Software stocks have been absolutely crushed recently. Companies like Salesforce or Adobe or Snowflake, Atlassian, Intuit, some down 30, 40, even 60%. But this is where things get weird because their businesses have not collapsed. In fact, some are still growing double digits. They're actually doing pretty decently. Revenues are growing, customers aren't disappearing, a lot of them are still very profitable. So why are investors suddenly acting like software, beautiful high margin software, is dead? Well, the answer is of course AI, artificial insemination. All right, maybe not that AI, but the worry from investors is that in this new age of AI agents, these new AI solutions are just going to sweep in and replace the SaaS tools. Literally just do their job instead. Take customer support software. Traditionally, a company might pay for Zendesk, Intercom, Salesforce Service Cloud, and several other tools. But if you can experiment with AI agents that can handle tickets, respond to customers, and automate the workflows, well, instead of paying for 5 different SaaS tools, you can pay for one beast AI platform that can theoretically do everything. So that's the first problem, and that's the worst case scenario that investors are currently thinking about. But the other problem is not necessarily an existential threat to these software businesses, but it is a threat to their current pricing models. So a lot of these software companies, they charge on a per head model, right? You can get a basic subscription, which just allows you to use the software, or you can normally get some sort of business plan, which maybe allows 10 people, or normally you can pay for an enterprise license that gets you like 100 people on the platform. That's normally how these companies charge. But the concern investors have around this model is what happens if all these customers suddenly don't need such high headcounts anymore? What happens if a business that's a customer of an Adobe or a Salesforce reduces their headcount from 100 to 50? Well, all of a sudden, that's a 50% reduction in users and a massive drop in the number of licenses that they can sell. But of course, this fear leads share prices to get sold off in an absolute panic. And in many cases, we're talking shares of financially sound businesses that are just being dumped. So let's take a look at some of these businesses that have been swept up in this software crunch and talk objectively as to whether they deserve to be in the position that they're in. Also, just so you know, I'm going to cover 4 main businesses in this video, but the SaaSpocalypse is much more wide-reaching than these. So if you want to check out my full watch list of businesses, you can check out the link in the description, and that will take you over to the full list on Simply Wall Street. Also, quick shout out, Simply Wall Street are also the major sponsor of the Berkshire Bonanza that's happening in Omaha on Friday, May the 1st. It's the day before the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. So if you're going to Omaha this year, we would absolutely love to have you along. You can meet myself and Phil Town, Hamish Hodder, Matt Peterson, Divya Narendra. Details are on the screen right now, or you can find them as well in the description. All right, first business we need to talk about, and this one is interestingly one I know that the Rule 1 guys are looking at very closely right now, and it is Salesforce. So Salesforce at a high level makes software that helps companies keep track of their customers. So think of it like a giant digital database where businesses store information about who their customers are, what they've bought, what emails they've received, what support requests they've made. Basically, if you've ever filled out one of those forms on a company website and then you open up your inbox to find 10 sales emails that you didn't want, you can thank Salesforce for that. So generally their software caters to 3 groups inside companies: sales teams, marketing teams, and customer support teams. And this is one of those companies that generates its money by selling subscriptions, right? The more people in these teams, the more licenses that Salesforce can sell. But with AI coming in hot, this is one of the companies that investors have gotten really jittery about. Take a look at the stock price over the past year. From its peak in December 2024, the stock has now halved. So it's been well and truly swept up in the SaaSpocalypse. But does it deserve it? Well, that is an interesting question. Salesforce is by far an industry leader in CRM, with estimates showing they hold between 20 and 24% market share. It's a long way ahead of Microsoft in second place. So they have a pretty substantial switching moat, meaning with all their software solutions and add-ons, they get quite embedded into their customers' businesses, which makes them quite difficult to get rid of. And then furthermore, if you take a look at the Simply Wall Street company page, you'll start to notice a couple of things here. Firstly, while the stock has been declining, the underlying business performance has been improving. So over the past 3 years, revenue, earnings, and free cash flow are all trending up and to the right. Now, there have been some concerns over a slowdown in growth. As you can see, since 2022, revenue growth has slowed slightly, and in the last 2 years, earnings growth has slowed as well. But does this constitute a 50% reduction in the share price? Furthermore, in terms of financial health, its assets swamp its total liabilities, though their current ratio does need some work. Their debt to equity ratio is very low, showing the management aren't gambling with the company's future, and roughly 2/3 of that debt can be paid off immediately with their current cash on hand. So as the Snowflake suggests, they've had solid past performance, their current health is reasonably strong, and that brings us to valuation. And because their stock price has been beaten down so dramatically, you can see here that the inbuilt discounted cash flow analysis is showing a steep discount to intrinsic value. Now, that doesn't mean you rush out and buy Salesforce stock, but it is a definite green light for me to move in and do my own manual analysis and manual valuation. But the overarching point that you can see with a company like Salesforce is that the AI narrative is really stinging the share price of a business that, today at least, is fundamentally sound. And that is the theme across a lot of these software stocks. Also, while we're here, I want to give a massive shout out to Simply Wall Street for providing me with all this data and also sponsoring this video. As you can see, they are a fantastic tool for investors. And if you want to try them out, you can actually do that for free. And if you like what you see, sign up with the referral link in the description and you'll get access to their Easter pricing, which gives you a massive 40% discount. Plus, they're sponsoring the Omaha event. Absolute legends. I would love it if you guys showed them some love. But back to the SaaSpocalypse. Another stock I wanted to talk about is actually a company that I and my team use literally every single day. And that business is Adobe. Now, I've done a full video on Adobe recently, so I would recommend checking that out for a deeper dive. And this is again, another classic SaaS company, but have a look at the share price. From its peak in 2022, Adobe stock has now lost over 60% of its market cap. And the surprising thing is, it's a very similar story to Salesforce, just in a slightly different industry. It's again, one of those companies that operates a subscription model, so the more heads that need to use Adobe, the more money that they make. And Adobe at its core can be thought of as really three businesses. They first have the PDF workflows with Acrobat for creating PDFs, editing, signing. Then on top of that, they have creative cloud subscriptions. So we're talking Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Illustrator, Lightroom, After Effects, Firefly, etc. And then finally, they have their marketing and analytics tools that sit on top of the media production engine, namely the Adobe Experience platform. And these tools allow marketers to make landing pages and ads and manage email lists and collect customer data, personalize content, run marketing campaigns, and just measure it all. Now, we're gonna start getting deja vu a little bit here because look at Adobe's financial results. Revenue, earnings, free cash flow continue to trend up and to the right. The balance sheet is reasonably healthy with a low debt to equity ratio. The total debt can be paid off immediately with their cash and treasuries if they needed. The point is, once again, we're seeing that the share price has been crushed when actually, as of today, there's no fundamental problem with the company itself, not as it stands today. Of course, who knows what the future may hold, but as of right now, there's no obvious warning sign in the financials that things are just plummeting. And again, that leads us to the discounted cash flow analysis. And unsurprisingly, with the shares down over 60%, when you plug all the numbers into the formula, it comes out with a result that screams that the company is undervalued. And this really shows the jitteriness of investors and also the ruthlessness of modern market conditions. The market will not hesitate to dump a company just due to a change in narrative, even if the company is financially sound. And to even further the point, Adobe, like Salesforce, also has a moat protecting it from harm. They too have a switching moat. They are widely considered the industry standard in creative software. They are deeply embedded into thousands of businesses around the world, including mine. But because there's that narrative change, boom, the market just gets rid of it. That's the second company on my SaaSpocalypse watch list. But next, I want to talk about a business that's a little bit of a different story to a Salesforce or an Adobe, and that company is Atlassian. This one is particularly interesting because unlike Salesforce or Adobe, which focus on customers and marketing, Atlassian focuses on something else entirely. It focuses on internal company workflows. So if you work in software development, chances are you've used Jira. It's basically the software that tracks what engineers or marketing teams are building, what bugs need fixing, and what projects are moving forward. You might have also heard of products like Confluence or Trello or Bitbucket. These are also Atlassian-owned software solutions for various company needs. And just like the other companies we've looked at, Atlassian makes money by charging companies per employee that uses the software. Now, here's the thing with Atlassian though. Their stock has been absolutely wiped out. In fact, from their high in late 2021, the stock is down, get this, 85%. And even just more recently, since February 2025, the stock is down roughly 78%. The question is, why? Well, the first thing to note is that this stock did get bid up to the absolute moon. So in 2022, it was given a $115 billion market cap, despite not producing any earnings. And indeed today, the company still doesn't produce any GAAP earnings. But for this business, the primary reason for the correction in the stock is because investors used to see this as a hyper-growth company, giving it a price-to-sales ratio at one point over 40, and now investors see it as a much more mature software company that's also facing macro problems. So the price-to-sales ratio has dropped to just 3 as investors come to terms with lower growth rates, but also just concerns that AI could reduce the number of seats that Atlassian is able to sell, particularly in products like Jira, which is used by a lot of software engineers. Software engineers that are now being laid off because their jobs can be done better by AI. So that's the fear. But again, is it justified? Well, Atlassian it's a trickier company to look at than a Salesforce or an Adobe, quite simply because while we can see that their revenue growth is showing no signs of slowing down, they still aren't GAAP profitable, and their free cash flow growth has completely flatlined over the last year or two. And while the company does still have those same characteristics of a switching mode, as many other SaaS companies do, it's one that definitely looks a little bit more up in the air on paper. But still, having looked at the financial health, you can see they only hold $1 billion of debt on the balance sheet with $1.6 billion in short-term cash and treasuries on hand. And with a low debt to equity ratio and with a cash runway of more than 3 years to keep the business humming, it does beg the question of whether the sell-off is completely justified. I mean, in terms of valuation, the 80% drop in the share price has now made the discounted cash flow analysis come out to an estimated 67% discount to intrinsic value. So it shows that investors aren't reacting to collapsing fundamentals. There's definitely just a massive change in expectations of the future. All right, with that said, so far we've looked at Salesforce for managing customers, Adobe managing creators, Atlassian managing workflows. There is one more layer to the software ecosystem that's also being caught up in the sell-off: the companies that manage data. And perhaps the biggest poster child of the SaaSpocalypse in this category is Snowflake. Now, if you're not familiar with Snowflake, the simplest way to think about it is this. If Salesforce stores customer data and Adobe creates content, Snowflake is the system that helps companies store, organize, analyze all of their data so they can actually make decisions with it. And this was one of the most hyped software companies of the past few years, because as the world started talking more and more about AI, investors started to realize that AI is only as good as the data that you feed it. So Snowflake positioned itself right in the middle of that trend. But despite sitting right in the middle of the AI boom, Snowflake has been absolutely smashed. From its highs in late 2021, the stock has fallen around 60%. And while this one has been up and down, it's certainly caught out a lot of investors this year, down about 30% year to date. But the interesting thing is that once again, we're seeing a very similar story to Atlassian. Revenue is still growing very strongly. Customers are still expanding usage. The business itself hasn't fallen apart. So what gives? Well, firstly, Snowflake was priced like a hyper-growth company previously. This thing was trading at an absolutely enormous revenue multiple during the SaaS boom. We're talking a price to sales ratio over 100 at the height of the boom in 2021. 100. But as growth has naturally slowed from hyper-growth levels to still very strong but more normal levels, the valuation investors are willing to pay has come down sharply. But interestingly, as opposed to some of the other companies we've spoken about, Snowflake has a slightly different risk in this space, because as opposed to wondering if AI itself makes the company redundant, for Snowflake, investors are actually trying to figure out if it's the other cloud giants like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google that are going to come through and make it eventually redundant. But once again, these are future fears, and we're currently not seeing the business collapse. While Snowflake still reports GAAP losses, making it a no-go for me personally, their revenue growth is still pretty smooth and their free cash flow is picking back up. Beyond that, their $2.3 billion in debt is swamped by their $4 billion in cash and short-term investments, and they also have a 3+ year cash runway. So Yes, I can pick holes in the business, but the overarching point is that this isn't a company that's, facing an imminent death, yet the stock has been sold off 60% in recent years, and the narrative has just rapidly changed. And with that, what do you know? Based on the Simply Wall Street DCF calculator, again, we see this business as quite undervalued. And when you zoom out, this is the real story of the SaaSpocalypse. This is the one thing I want you guys to take away from it. Customers, creators, workflows, data, every layer of software at the moment is just being repriced, but it's not because the businesses are collapsing left, right, and center. It's just because investors are trying to figure out what AI means for the future. And that's actually really, really good for long-term value investors, because volatility and ultimately knee-jerk reactions, that's what creates mispricings. That's why efficient market hypothesis is just not right. Now, I'm not saying that these 4 businesses are flaming red hot buys, far from it. But what I am saying is that if software sits firmly within your circle of competence, well, now is the time to do some due diligence. Also, I should say, these are just 4 of the companies on a list, very long list of beaten down software companies. So if you would like to check out the full list and dive into more of these for yourself, you can also do that by checking out the link in the description. Also, huge thanks to Simply Wall Street, which is where a bunch of this data has come from. Remember, you can get 40% off by following the link down in the description or pinned comment. And a huge thanks to them for sponsoring, not only this video, but also the Berkshire Bonanza that's happening while I'm in Omaha. So again, Friday, May the 1st, it's going to be at the Diamond Room, Omaha, 3:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. To get in, simply show a pre-order receipt for this here book, The New Money Strategy. Come and hang out, meet our amazing list of speakers. And lastly, just wanted to thank everybody who has supported this book so far. I've said this a million times, I'll say it a million more. It really does mean a lot. Pre-orders are so important. And finally, on that note, we do have some winners of the pre-order competition. So congrats to the 3 winners. They will be coming up on screen now, and I will be in contact with all 3 of you very soon to organize your respective prizes. Thanks so much to everybody who took part. We had a lot of people submit their pre-order receipts. So thank you guys so much. It really warms my heart. It does really mean a lot to me. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for that. But with that said, thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next video.